The town of Brookdale had always been described as uneventful, a quiet place where life slowed down with the seasons and nothing extraordinary ever happened. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked, where neighbors still borrowed sugar from each other, and where gossip about a broken fence could fill an afternoon. Yet within this quiet town stood Maplewood Nursing Home, a large brick structure that carried with it half a century of stories, secrets, and silence. For most of the townsfolk, Maplewood was simply a place where their aging loved ones lived out their final days. For the residents inside, it was both a haven and, for some, a forgotten prison. Officer Daniel Hughes had been in Brookdale for 3 years, and every morning he patrolled with his partner Rex, a German shepherd whose reputation preceded him. Rex had been trained to sniff out narcotics, track missing persons, and even locate hidden evidence. Together, Daniel and Rex had built a bond stronger than most friendships. They trusted each other implicitly, and that trust was about to uncover something Brookdale had buried for 10 long years. On that Tuesday morning, Daniel drove into Maplewood's parking lot as part of his routine patrol. The sun was gentle, filtering through the trees, and the air carried the scent of fresh-cut grass. He had no reason to expect anything unusual. As he stepped out of the patrol car, Rex leapt down beside him, his tail wagging, eyes sharp. Inside, nurses greeted them warmly. Residents in wheelchairs clapped when they saw Rex, as if the dog's presence was a kind of visiting joy that medicine couldn't provide. But as soon as they entered the east wing, Rex stiffened. His ears shot up and he began to pull on his leash. Daniel frowned. Rex never acted out without reason. The dog sniffed the walls, his nose twitching rapidly, his claws scraping the floor as he dragged Daniel farther down the corridor. The east wing wasn't used much anymore. Several rooms had been closed to cut costs, and the hallway was eerily quiet. Wallpaper peeled and the air was musty. Rex stopped suddenly in front of what appeared to be just another wall. He growled deep and low, then pawed furiously at the panel. Daniel knocked. The sound came back hollow. His brows furrowed. He ran his hand along the surface, noticing faint lines that suggested a concealed doorframe beneath. The faded wallpaper. Nurse Clara Jennings had followed them, confusion clouding her face. "Officer Hughes!" "That's just a wall. At least that's what we were always told." Daniel squatted down and studied the outline more closely. It was definitely a door. When he pressed his shoulder against it, the panel didn't give. He stepped back. "This isn't just a wall, Clara. This is something else." The nursing home director reluctantly allowed the maintenance staff to investigate. After an hour of prying and hammering, the sealed door finally creaked open. A rush of stale, suffocating air burst out, as though it had been trapped for years. The gathered staff and a few residents gasped, some covering their mouths. Rex barked once sharply before charging into the darkness. Daniel followed with a flashlight. The beam cut through years of dust and revealed a room no one had expected. It was small, windowless, and suffocatingly claustrophobic. Dust covered a narrow bed with metal restraints attached to its sides. The mattress was sunken, stained yellow with age. Beside it stood a table piled high with notebooks, their covers cracked, their pages curled and yellowed. A cabinet in the corner leaned slightly, its door shut but rattling faintly as Rex sniffed at it. Daniel picked up one of the notebooks and flipped it open. The handwriting was rushed, shaky, but still legible. The very first line sent a chill down his spine. "They locked me here because I knew too much. If anyone finds this, please don't let them bury the truth with me." Clara gasped and whispered, "Oh God." She pressed her hand to her mouth. Several of the younger staff backed away, murmuring to each other in panic. Daniel moved to the cabinet. Inside, wrapped carefully in old cloth, were dozens of cassette tapes. Each tape had a date scrawled on it. The earliest was from 11 years ago. The last was from 10 years ago, as though someone had been recording steadily and then abruptly stopped. Daniel found an old tape recorder sitting on the shelf. He dusted it off and checked its battery compartment. Miraculously, with some fresh batteries from his patrol kit, it came to life. He slid one of the tapes in and pressed play. The recorder hissed with static before a trembling female voice filled the room. "If anyone hears this, my name is Eleanor Briggs. I was a nurse here at Maplewood. I found out what they were doing, and they swore they'd silence me. They've locked me in this room. I don't know how long I have, but I won't stop speaking. Someone has to know the truth. The tape ended abruptly with a click. A heavy silence filled the hallway outside. Clara's face turned pale. Eleanor Briggs. I knew her. She worked here. She was sweet, always kind to the residents. But one day she just disappeared. The administration told us she resigned suddenly, moved away to care for family. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked around the room, his flashlight beam sweeping over the restraints. The notebooks, the tapes. It wasn't resignation. It was imprisonment. And whatever Eleanor had discovered, it had been damning enough that someone had gone to great lengths to bury it. An investigation began immediately. The police secured the room, collected the notebooks and tapes, and began combing through Maplewood's records. The deeper they dug, the more horrifying the picture became. Residents had gone missing over the years, their files marked as natural deaths or transfers to other facilities. But families insisted no bodies were ever returned, no transfers confirmed. Some had tried to press for answers years earlier, only to be told it was clerical error or that their loved ones had passed quietly in their sleep. The tapes filled in the blanks. On them, Eleanor spoke of unapproved medical trials conducted in secret. Elderly residents, many without family to advocate for them, had been used as test subjects for experimental drugs provided by a pharmaceutical company. Some drugs left patients delirious. Others caused strokes, seizures, or comas. Those who resisted were forcibly taken to the sealed East Wing. Eleanor had discovered the truth and had tried to contact authorities. The last few recordings grew frantic. In one, she whispered, "They know I'm speaking. I can hear them outside. If they find me, I don't think I'll get out. Please, whoever finds this, don't let them win." The tape ended with a muffled scream. The story broke across every newspaper in the state. Police dog uncovers decade-old nursing home secret. Rex was hailed as a hero. Families of missing residents came forward, demanding justice. Lawsuits piled up against Maplewood. Retired staff who had once kept silent out of fear or greed began confessing. Some admitted to looking the other way, others to accepting money. At the center of it all was a pharmaceutical giant that had quietly funded the home, using it as a human testing ground. Court trials stretched on for nearly 2 years. Executives were sentenced to prison. Administrators charged with manslaughter and conspiracy. The nursing home was shut down permanently, its once caring reputation shattered. Maplewood's windows were boarded up, its halls left to rot as a monument to greed and cruelty. Yet for Daniel, the case was bittersweet. Justice had been served, but Eleanor Briggs's body was never found. Some speculated she had been buried on the grounds. Others believed she had succumbed in that room and been disposed of secretly. All that remained of her was her voice on the tapes, a ghost crying out for truth across a decade of silence. 1 year after the final trial, Daniel returned to the ruins of Maplewood with Rex. Weeds grew wild in the parking lot. The bricks were stained, windows broken. Inside, the air was heavy with mold and decay. Daniel made his way to the East Wing. The hidden room still stood, though stripped bare now by investigators. He placed a small bouquet of flowers on the floor and whispered, "We found your truth, Eleanor. They didn't win." The wind sighed through the broken glass. For just a moment, Daniel thought he heard a woman's faint voice, gentle, relieved, free. Rex leaned against his leg, silent, as if sensing the same thing. As they left the ruins, Daniel knew one thing with certainty. Justice might take years, even decades, but with loyalty, courage, and the unshakable nose of a dog, the truth will always find its way to light.